Welcome to the Tell Us Ellis podcast.
Hey, everybody. I wanted to get a recording out before the NFL games begin tomorrow. I know Murph and I just went through our picks for the week, but I wanted to give a little bit more color to the games. And I think I mentioned I'm going to be out most of next week, probably not recording another podcast until Thursday or maybe Friday. So just want to get some NFL intel out there before, again, the weeks begin. Now, as I usually say, please make sure you're following me, especially on YouTube. Go to Tell Us Ellis Media, at Tell Us Ellis Media, and click the subscribe button. And then click the thumbs up on podcasts if you like them. Again, I'm really trying to build that subscriber base, and I've set some goals for the year, and I hope to attain them. So any little bit helps. And then also on my social media channels, X, I post a lot of stuff on X. Instagram, I post nothing right now, but I will be posting some things, and I do have some of you following me there. But on X and Instagram, it's at Tell Us Ellis HQ. And then send me an email if you have ideas for the show, want to be part of the show, have questions, comments, whatever. Email me at jamie@tellusellis.com. And again, would love for you to be part of the show. Really excited about some stuff we have coming up in January of this month, later in January this month. And then, also just want to add some faces to the show. Dave Buckler joined me earlier in the week, and Murph has been a regular weekly guest spot, and we're going to keep that going. If you have interest, just please let me know. Before I get started, I'd be remiss if I didn't cover the college football games. Murph and I talked about Miami, Ohio State already. I'd hit that one. I'd picked under the 41.5, and that hit. Although overall, I thought Ohio State was going to win it. It was the reverse of what I thought was going to happen. In the Orange Bowl, I thought that was going to be the game of the weekend, and it wasn't. Oregon just absolutely shut out Texas Tech, really disappointing. And at that point, I was like, boy, these teams that have byes, they're now 0-6 in the playoff. And is that a really big issue? These teams that might have 3.5 weeks off. So I was worried about that and disappointed in that game. I didn't expect Texas Tech to come out and absolutely lay an egg. And then we got to Alabama, Indiana, and my pick there was the under 48.5, and that hit. Boy, Indiana just looked dominant, and it was pretty awesome, the performance that they put on. So a lot of people around here in central Indiana really thrilled with Indiana's performance. And then Sugar Bowl, really good game. Ole Miss, Georgia minus 6.5. I had Georgia minus the 6.5. I thought they were going to not dominate, but win pretty handily against Ole Miss, and they did not. They lost it late in the game. Congratulations to Ole Miss. Murph keeps saying, look, this is a story that could just carry on, and that may very well be the case. And this sets up some really interesting semifinals. You've got Oregon and Indiana playing, and that's a rematch. Indiana went out to Oregon and beat them. They won by 7 points. The score wasn't indicative of how dominant I think IU was in that game. I think Mendoza threw a pick 6 late to make it a 7-point game, but they kind of went out to Oregon and spanked them. So that'll be a really good rematch. And then the other one is Ole Miss against Miami. Boy, I don't know what to think about that. It's hard for me to believe that one of those teams is going to be in the final, but they have to be. So that should be really interesting to watch as well. So I think we've got really good semifinals coming up. It's been a great college football season. I'm still wearing my Notre Dame pride for my daughter, but yeah, that's a wrap on college coverage. So now I want to talk about the NFL. And what I did is I looked at each team in the NFL, and I kind of broke them into groups. I said let's look at the playoff teams first. There is this group of what I'll call solid playoff teams that it would not surprise me if they made it to the Super Bowl. And it's a pretty long list when you look at it. And I know every team has some flaw here or there, but I've got about 6, 9, 10, 11 teams that I think are solid playoff teams that could run the gamut and get into the Super Bowl. We have a couple what I'll call playoff teams, maybe. These are teams that haven't clinched yet, or maybe they've clinched, but and that fills out the remainder of the playoff field. And then we have non-playoff teams that are trending up, and then non-playoff teams trending down. So I think I'll start with the playoff teams. And let me tell you my list. And I'm not going to talk a lot about these teams, but these are the solid playoff teams. These are the teams that would not surprise me if they made a run to the Super Bowl. I'll start with the Denver Broncos, New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans. And by the way, those last two pain me to say it as a Colts fan, but Jacksonville and Houston have been playing some really good football. The Los Angeles Chargers, I know they're not playing great football right now, but there's something about them that scares me, and I'm going to keep them in that possible Super Bowl push. Buffalo Bills, Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears, who have shown me so much in the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, just even in their loss to San Francisco, I thought they looked so good. Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, who might be the best team in the NFL right now. At least offensively they are. Defensively, they're not that great. It'll be a really interesting game against Seattle this weekend. And then the last team, although they're not playing their best football right now, is the Los Angeles Rams. So again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams that I think truly could make the Super Bowl. Then there are the playoff teams. And these are teams that might be in the playoffs, might not be in the playoffs, or maybe they are in the playoffs. And again, I don't see them going anywhere. I'll start with the team that's in it. That's Green Bay. I get it. They've got injuries, but they also haven't been playing good football when they haven't been injured. So I cannot see them making a run. And at the beginning of the year, that was one of the teams I picked. I had a Buffalo Green Bay Super Bowl. So it kind of pains me to say that too. But I just can't see it happening. Jordan Love's not playing this week. That might be best. Maybe it helps them all get reset and so forth. But I just can't see them making the playoffs. Or I'm sorry, making the Super Bowl. Then the two games that are for a playoff spot, the first is Carolina-Tampa. And I know even if Tampa wins, they might not make it in. They need some help from Atlanta there. Carolina, I really like them, but they have some flaws. Even at the quarterback spot, they have some flaws. This is going to be their first time in the playoffs, and I can't see them making a run of any kind. So I don't see them being a Super Bowl contender. And then if somehow Tampa Bay gets in, there is no way I see them making a Super Bowl run. I think Baker Mayfield has some injuries. He is not playing his best football. He's very immobile right now. He's just a different quarterback than the early part of the season. Tampa's lost 4 straight and 7 of their last 8, and they still could make the playoffs. That is absolutely crazy to me. So that's the first group of teams. The other is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. One of those teams is going to make it. If Pittsburgh makes it, I just don't see them having the receivers, the offensive capability to keep up with teams. I cannot see them even winning a playoff game. And then you have the Ravens. If they make it, could they get back into groove and make a run here? I don't think so. There's just this Lamar Jackson controversy that's going on right now. And Mike Preston of the Baltimore Sun wrote about it. I know Mike Preston just from living in that area for a long period of time. He's always very high on the Ravens and wrote a little bit of a critical article of Lamar. And there just seems to be a disconnect there between the team and Lamar. And sounds like he's playing this week. Again, I can't see this Ravens team going very far. They're going to have to ride Derrick Henry really hard. I don't even know if they can win this football game in Pittsburgh. But those are just two teams that no matter who wins, I just can't see them. I can't see them going very far. Then we have the non-playoff teams that are trending up. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in this category. The first one is Miami. Miami's won 6 of 9, and they actually could finish 8 and 9. I feel like they have pieces, and I don't know if McDaniel is safe as a coach or if he is going to be let go. I feel like if they could get the quarterback position fixed, they would. I mean, this is like so many teams, but if they could get the quarterback position fixed, I think they're an above 500 team. It would not shock me if they beat the Patriots this weekend, a game that the Patriots want to win to secure some home field advantage in the playoffs. But Miami despite all the horrible early start, again, they've done pretty well since getting rid of their general manager, and I give them kudos for that. The other team or another team is Cincinnati. We've got a healthy Joe Burrow now. They're the winners of 2 straight. They've scored 32 or more points in 4 of their last 5 games. They actually could finish 7 and 10, which is pretty unbelievable considering where they started. Again, this is a team, look out next year. Now, unless Burrow gets hurt again, which unfortunately is kind of what's happened, it's a team that could make a quick turnaround. So I think they're on the way up as I look at these teams. The Minnesota Vikings are another team. They've won 4 straight, including wins against the Lions and Cowboys. They won their last 2 with Max Bosmer at quarterback. We've got to figure out, or they've got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback going forward. Is J.J. McCarthy their answer? It seems there's a lot of trepidation there around them. I don't think Max Brosmer is the answer either, but they've got to figure that out in the offseason. If they beat Green Bay this weekend, though, they finish 9-8, and that's pretty impressive for a team that was kind of written off, or at least I had them written off for a good period of time. Then I look at the Dallas Cowboys. If they beat the Giants this week, they finish at 500, and they have a tie in there as well. But, they had a rough run of games this year, including the Eagles, the Chiefs when they were playing pretty well, the Lions, the Vikings, the Chargers. Wasn't the easiest schedule. And to finish at 500, I don't think that's bad. And, they made some changes. They made some trades to add some help, and I think it really did help them. Their offense is very good. Very good. Dak Prescott leads the league in passing yards, 4,482, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. He's got a rating of 100. He's got really good receivers in Lamb and Pickens. They have the 14th pick in the draft as of right now, which they could do something with that. Again, I think that when I look at the Cowboys, it's not a team that I see as just on a downward trend. I think that they can make some changes and be competitive next year. A team that I did not think on this list, really 2 teams that I didn't think would be on this list as far as trending up. One is Atlanta, and I give them a ton of credit too. They've won 3 straight, including the Buccaneers and the Rams. They'll have a healthy Michael Penix next year. I don't know if he's the answer at quarterback, but at least he'll be healthy. They did trade their first-round pick to the Rams, which really hurts them right now. That's going to be probably around a 12th overall pick. They just have to avoid this purgatory that they've been in. They either have to be really good or really bad, and they're in this in-between phase right now. It's what the Colts have been in for the last many years, and it feels like they're a team that's close, but, again, they just have to get out of that purgatory. And then the last team I have in this category is the New Orleans Saints. They have won 4 straight, including the Buccaneers and the Panthers. You heard Murph and I talk about Tyler Shuck. We're big fans of him, so I feel like they have a quarterback. And then they have the 8th overall pick as of right now, and that's a lot to like. So maybe New Orleans can turn it around in a division that maybe isn't that strong or won't be that strong next year either. Then that leaves me to my non-playoff teams that are trending down. And I've got to start with my Indianapolis Colts. Goodness, I can't believe that 2 months ago we were talking playoffs and is this a potential Super Bowl contender? They were number 1 on a lot of power ratings. Well, they lost 6 straight. There was no answer after Daniel Jones went out. Sauce Gardner trade was a bad trade, at least as it relates to this year. I mean, giving up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, that is not going to help you this year, and we don't know what we're going to be next year. It's tough to swallow that we gave up those 2 first-round picks. I think the Colts better re-sign Jones. Phillip Rivers is not coming back, so they better re-sign Daniel Jones. I think it's the best option for him. Maybe they can get him at a little bit of an injury discount. They just have to figure that out. When he was playing and he was healthy, they were a very good team. So find out what they can do in the offseason, looking ahead, some of the pieces that they have, free agents that they have. This year, Alec Pierce is a big one, but next year it's a whole lot of guys, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go. The next one is Kansas City. Is it over in Kansas City? Is Kelsey going to retire? Is Mahomes going to be ready to start the year next year? What's Andy Reid going to do? Does he want to keep running out there and trying to lead this team? There's a lot of questions marks there. Is there a scenario where they can be a top-tier team next year? Maybe. Does Kelsey say, look, I'm going to come back for one more year? Does Mahomes say, I have put in everything and I'm going to be completely healthy next year? Can they do something in the offseason to get some help? Their defense is pretty good. but they're also getting some age on themselves. So really interesting offseason for Kansas City to see what happens and what kind of turnover there could be. The Detroit Lions are another team that has been headed in the wrong direction. Has the luster of Dan Campbell worn off a little bit? They've lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5, 5 of 7. Jared Goff's numbers are down a bit. He's down 4% in completion percentage. His rating's still really good. He's at a 107 rating. They've got some really good skill position players in Jamar Gibbs and St. Brown at receiver. When I looked at their schedule, I mean, they did have to play, their divisional games, the Packers twice and the Bears twice, which is very difficult. They had to play the Ravens, the Chiefs when they were good, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Rams, the Steelers. It was a tough year for them schedule-wise, and then the injuries hurt them as well. They're going to have around the 15th pick in the draft, so they should be able to get some help there. We'll see. We'll see where that team trends. They were a legit Super Bowl contender to start the year, and they just kind of fizzled down the stretch. And then the Washington Commanders are my last team in this category. I'm willing. I put them here because they were disappointing, and a lot of that did have to do with Jaden Daniels' injuries. So hopefully he can get back. They are a little bit more of a veteran team than a young team. I know Jaden Daniels is young, but overall the supporting cast is a little bit older. They will have somewhere around the 7th pick in the draft, which will help them. They started out 3-2, but then they went 1-10 from there. Again, a lot of injuries in there, but it'll be interesting to see where they go. They've obviously trended down, and that's where they are right now. Then I have a couple teams that I just call just awful. And the first one is the Cleveland Browns. They have a good defense, quarterback issues that are just unresolved. And if you spend any time on Shedeur Sanders, this should be the biggest non-story. The kid's a rookie that was drafted in the 4th or 5th round, and he once traded and so forth. I would say good riddance and just dump him, honestly, if that is true, if those stories are true that he has asked for a trade. Saw that on social media, so I should clarify that. They have offensive issues, significant offensive issues. They do have the 6th pick and the 27th pick in the first round. Maybe they can get some help there. They have to get their quarterback issue solved, though, once and for all. Until then, they're just going to be a laughingstock a little bit. Big win last week against the Steelers, but I think they play Cincinnati this week, and they may get shellacked just where Cincinnati is right now and where Cleveland is. Another team I put in this category is the Tennessee Titans. They had the 3rd worst points. As of right now, they have the 3rd worst points differential in the NFL. They have a young quarterback. They need to build through the draft. They do have they should have around the 4th pick in the draft. This is a team that just needs a lot of help, and it's going to take a little bit of time. The Jets, again, talk about laughingstock. They are an absolute laughingstock. They have the 2nd worst score differential in the NFL at minus 176 points. They should have around the 3rd pick in the draft. They also have what should be around the 18th pick from the Colts from that Sauce Gardner trade. They are a disaster. They do have a lot of draft picks. They need to build through the draft. And if they end up taking the quarterback from Oregon or really any quarterback with that top pick, that would be disappointing because I think their issues run a lot deeper than just quarterback. Also on this list, the Las Vegas Raiders. They have the worst score differential in the NFL, minus 193 points. Their opponents outscored them this year so far by 193 points. They have the number 1 pick in the draft. I assume as of right now, it would be Mendoza. Again, they need more than a quarterback, and they do have Geno Smith under contract for another year. Could be a situation where you sit a Mendoza for a year and let Geno finish it out. I know it's good to draft these quarterbacks early. I do think you have to look at the hit rate on them and ask yourself, would I be better off getting offensive line help or defensive line help? Again, when you pick that high, though, it's just hard to say no to a quarterback. 2 more teams. One is the Arizona Cardinals. They should have around the 5th pick in the draft. I think they need a quarterback change. It's time to move away from Kyler Murray in my mind. They've had 1 winning season since 2015. In that one season, they lost in the wild card round. So if you're a Cardinals fan, it has been really, really difficult. I think it's tough being a Colts fan. They were in the playoffs last in 2018, but at least they've been borderline playoff contender. Arizona, it has not been a good run. And then finally, I have the New York Giants on this awful list, but I should put a big asterisk beside that. They've got Abdul Carter, they've got Jackson Dart at quarterback, Cam Scattaboo, who will be back from his injury next year. Malik Neighbors, who I heard might be back at practice this week. So they have some skill position players. I really did consider not putting them in here. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft. Will they draft a quarterback? Are they just going to go with Jackson Dart? This head coaching spot is going to be coveted. It's not going to be Marcus Freeman. He took his name out of the mix, but who will be the Giants coach? We'll have to see who that is. But, I think the Giants are going to be a really attractive spot for somebody. We'll have to wait and see who it ends up being. So with that now, I just want to turn it over to looking at, I'm on FanDuel right now, and I just want to go over some of the odds. First, I want to look at the odds to win the Super Bowl and just looking at the top 6, because that's just what shows up on my screen. New England is in that 6th spot at plus 1,000. San Francisco is in the 5th spot at plus 950. I think that is really good odds. If I'm a bettor, I would probably put some money on that. The Eagles are 4th at plus 950. Seem to have gotten back some of their mojo, maybe a little bit. 3rd is Denver. I think that's too high for them. They're at plus 750. 2nd is the Rams at plus 550. Based on how they've played recently, I think that's too good of odds. The Rams, they just haven't been playing as well. And then number 1 is Seattle at plus 550. And I think that's a lot to put on a team with Sam Darnold at quarterback, who hasn't shown that he can really play well in these really big games. This weekend will be a good game to see how he plays when that potential, division winner, that division spot is on the line. So thought that was very interesting. The other one I wanted to look at was the awards. So MVP, this has been a big discussion point with some of my friends. When you look at the odds, you've got Bo Nix at plus 50,000 in the 6th spot. You've got Christian McCaffrey, who I think is really good money right now, at plus 30,000. For Christian McCaffrey, if he goes off over the weekend and runs for 200 yards or something like that, like he's had an unbelievable season. Josh Allen is still in here at plus 30,000. I don't think he's playing this weekend. I don't see him winning it. You have Trevor Lawrence at plus 25 or plus 22,500. I do not see that at all. Stafford is plus 280. Okay. He's having an unbelievable year. Didn't play really well in his last game, but really good year. And then leading the pack right now is Drake May at minus 340. You got to like what he's done. He's had the easier schedule. I don't know if that matters, but definitely had the easier schedule and could be leading his team to a number 1 seed in the AFC. So I thought that was interesting. And yeah, I just wanted to go over some of those odds with you and cover that off. The last thing I want to look at is head coach openings. Will they be in or will they be out? And I've got 13 coaches on this list. And I want to start with the 2 that are going to be replaced, and those are the interim coaches in New York and Tennessee. Mike McCoy, the interim coach at Tennessee, I would be very surprised if he was named the full-time head coach. And then Mike Kafka, the interim head coach with the Giants, again, it will be a coveted spot. I think there will be people interested in that spot. It's interesting, though, when you look at the potential college coaching candidates, there aren't a lot of college coaches that I think would be really attractive to bring in, especially if you take a Marcus Freeman off the board. It really limits the amount of intriguing college coaches that are out there. So that'll be interesting. So those 2 are definitely going to be replaced. Here are the ones that I could see getting let go. Not all of them, they won't, but the ones that are possibilities. Pete Carroll in Las Vegas, Kevin Stefanski with Cleveland, Raheem Morris in Atlanta, Jonathan Gannon with Arizona, Mike McDaniel with Miami, and then Aaron Glenn with the Jets. I think those 6, I would say there is a higher likelihood of them getting let go. Okay. I think you could add Todd Bowles to that list if he loses this weekend or if they don't make the playoffs. It's hard to do that, though, because he's won so many division championships. But When you started out the way you did and finished the way you did, it begs to question whether you need to make a coaching change. A couple others that could be on that I would add to this list, just bear watching. John Harbaugh with Baltimore. If they don't make the playoffs, does something need to change there? Is it time for a change in Baltimore? I don't think they're going to trade Lamar. Does something need to happen? So that's one to watch. Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. I don't think he's going anywhere. If for some reason they didn't make the playoffs, would that be a casualty? He has not had a losing season, mind you, but is sometimes change good? I've said it before on this podcast. They've had 3 head coaches my whole life. It's unbelievable. Another one to look at is Zach Taylor with Cincinnati. Now, I will say that the way they're finishing, again, begs to question whether they would or should get rid of Zach Taylor. He's also dealt with injuries with Burrow, so can't blame that all on the head coach. I think it's unlikely that he goes, but somebody to bear watching. And then the last one I have on my list is Andy Reid. Not that he would be let go, but if he decides to retire. I really don't know where that's going to go. My gut tells me that he's going to stick around. My gut tells me that Kelsey's going to stick around and they're going to try to run it back next year with some changes. But again, if you add that up, that's 13 coaches. So that's going to be really, really interesting to watch. So I just wanted to go over that before the season gets the finale, the final weekend gets kicked off. Really appreciate you listening to the podcast, especially the football ones with Murph. They've been so much fun to put together. A lot of fun working with Kevin on that. Again, make sure you follow me on YouTube at Tell Us Ellis Media, and then on my social media channels, Instagram and X at Tell Us Ellis HQ, and shoot me an email if you're interested in joining the show or have a question, jamie@tellusellis.com. Have a really good time watching football games, good football games this weekend, and I will see you soon. Take care.